As Ulf said, this is a double celebration. We've already said cheers for 10 years for the Center for Retail Research. And now we're going to do a little bit of a celebration of our new book on the future of consumption, which I'm not going to be able to... Here we go. The book, as Ulf said, was funded by the Håkan Svensson Foundation and Lund University Library, so we're extremely grateful to both of them for help with the publication. My name is Karis Egan-Wyer, and I'm one of the editors of the book. My co-editors are Emma Samra and Christina Bäckström. Please raise your hands and wave. Great. So in the book, we discuss 3 consumption trends that we think will transform the retail industry in the future. They are sustainability, technology, and consumer well-being. And we also talk about one trend that we think will continue to be important, which is customer experience. We're going to talk a little bit around that theme for a few minutes, hopefully not too long, so you can carry on with drinking and eating, which is the main point of today. But with me today, I have Martin Moström, the founder of shopper marketing agency Retail House. I have Ashley Logan McFarlane, a consumer researcher from Edinburgh Napier University. Francesca Serravalle, I hope I say it right. Francesca is a researcher into innovations like the metaverse and their relevance for retail. And last but not least, Kevin Gelsey, who is the sustainability coordinator at Nudie Jeans and also the author of a chapter in the book. So thank you all for joining us today to discuss the book. I want to start the discussion here by asking each of you how you think these 3 transformative consumption trends that we talked about, sustainability, technology, and consumer well-being, play out in your own work. What you see in retail. Martin, do you want to start?
Yes. First of all, I would like to thank you for the great book. I've come to about 70% of the book. But I'm actually quite glad that I saw it was not printed as a book now. So I have it in like 400 PDF. So, I mean, the whole book is so super relevant. And I'm a practitioner, so for me it was super great to read all the academic chapters. And I was thinking because everything is so relevant, but the importance of the different themes, the importance of different themes change upon which time you are in. I mean, if you go back to the 90s or the 80s, for you younger people in the audiences, it was a health or well-being questions. Then in the 90s, the sustainability questions came. From 2000 forward, it was like the advent of the smartphone, and then the old technology came, and now it's experience. But you know. The retail industry, which I work for, is quite opportunistic. So yes, now it's interest rates that we're talking about, and the price competition. So I would love to say that everyone's talking about well-being and sustainability, but that's not the truth, not from my perspective as well. So now it's very much about hard discount and low prices.
So we were totally wrong. The future of consumption is not any of those things.
They will come back.
Good, we hope so. Thank you. Ashley?
Okay, so I guess I'd probably comment more on the influencer side of things, seeing as a lot of my research is based in the field of influencers, advanced stage influencers, and also looking at bloggerpreneurs. That was one of the original terms. So in a recent chapter that I wrote on digital content and influencers, wellness was one of the key trends. And actually, I have to say it was really nice to read the book in advance, so thank you for sharing it with me. Particularly the section on well-being really speaks to me when I start to think about some of the data that I've collected on influencers, specifically looking at trends such as minimalization. It's one of the biggest trends in the influencer market right now. You see it across all different spheres of influencer marketing. So you see it in the lifestyle domain, you see it in the across the fashion domain, you see it across all domains where people are increasingly starting to evaluate their lifestyle. They're starting to declutter their homes. We're seeing this throughout all the influencer content. We're also seeing technology advances and changes. We're seeing people emerge as what they call wellness advocates, commenting on things like mental health, and that was one of the chapters in the book actually that I really enjoyed within that, where they were kind of profiling all the different mental health
apps and platforms.
Yeah, it was all the different apps, but it was also all the processes behind that. So I see wellness as a big trend. So not just in terms of lifestyle and minimalization within the influencer context, but I also see things like technology products emerging, such as one of the ones I saw recently was a sleep mask. And the mask with the technology can actually evaluate your sleep and other like measures and metrics. And this can then be sent to companies to measure your sleep wellness. And I'll mention one more thing, sorry. In Gen Z, so there's recent trends circulating in the internet specifically for Gen Z, where they're looking at things, they call it bed rotting, when in actual fact it's an old term where it kind of sees spending a significant time in your bed as a form of self-care. So you're engaging in a prolonged period of time where you would normally be working. So we're seeing lots of trends circulate on TikTok as a result with these various hashtags and things. So there's that's a lot to decompress, and there's a lot more I could mention, but
I really like the sound of that.
Yeah, I'll leave it there, yeah. So you do that tomorrow, Candice?
Yeah, absolutely.
Your Saturday sorted.
Francesca, how do you see the three trends playing out in your work?
Thank you so much, Carrie. So I think that about the 4 themes you analyze in your book, 2 of them are more interesting for my work, especially with obviously the technological one, and then also the customer experience. As a matter of fact, in my research, I most investigated IR, so augmented reality and artificial intelligence, that according to me are 2 important and prominent technology, especially if we are referring about the customer experience. Even if you think about AI nowadays, there are many implications, for instance, for practitioners. For instance, if you think about the creativity, we can develop AI, especially for practitioner and manager and so on, create something new, for instance, in the new development product. So at the moment, AI is more prominent, especially for people who create a business and so on. Whereas AR is very useful, for instance, for customers because they just friendly scan up a code or a QR code that giving additional information from, for instance, images, photographs, and so on. So these are, I think, there are the 2 most themes that I will use in my research in the future.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Kevin, last but not least, obviously sustainability is important in your line of work, but how do you see the other trends playing into each other?
Yeah, I mean, from a brand perspective, and especially like for me and for Nudie Jeans, where sustainability has been like a central part of the DNA for the brand for so long, it's these additional themes add on a lot, and I think like tech innovation and so on is it can be an like extended arm and like tool for like bigger reach and customer range and data management, sustainability data management and processing, and fulfill many gaps, helping to like crack the nut of what sustainability or like a sustainable brand actually is. So, and also like well-being in that sort of sense. I think what we do in our store context and so on is very much about like circular activities, interactions with consumers, and I think we haven't had the perspective of well-being like added to those activities and those interactions before, but now with like the context of the book and new perspectives, I also think there's definite like some sort of well-being being created in those like circular interactions, absolutely.
Thank you. Martin, I wanted to ask, because a lot of your work is with grocery retail. Do you see there's kind of any special developments here with sustainability and well-being and technology in the grocery context?
Yeah. When you write a book like this, it's very easy to divide it into sustainability, to well-being, to technology and experience. And I think that you have to look upon it as from a historic perspective that it's layers. You have the sustainability, you have the well-being, and now they have the experience. And in the foundation of everything, you have the technology. And I see the technology coming all over, mainly for creating new experience for the shoppers in the whole shopping pre-purchase when you go into the web or an application, but you can also see the technology from a store perspective, where you really reduce cost by introducing new technologies, self-checkouts, etc. So I think the technology is at the foundation of everything we do in the future, which is super interesting.
For sure. On that kind of same topic, we have a little exhibition here later that Hussein is going to help people with, where you can go in to do some shopping in the metaverse, which is potentially the shopping experience of the future. I wanted to ask you, Francesca, that's
potential.
Potentially, exactly.
I agree with Martin.
Potential.
I agree, totally agree.
You totally agree?
Totally
okay,
agree.
Great.
That's a game for me.
So maybe it's not quite the future yet, but is there some other technological innovations in the book that you think will have a more important impact in the near future on retail?
Thank you so much, Kari. Yeah, I think that about all the technology that are investigated into the book, two of them are most prominent for the future, that are blockchain and artificial intelligence. Despite that, there are a lot of questions that is up because AI is very investigated and used it nowadays. For instance, if we think about the health sector, AI is used to prevent disease or also outbreaks. If you think about, the retailing, we have the famous, and also in the book is written a chapter about the Amazon Go shop, where everybody can buy and pick up just a product, and then we have the payment just by our Amazon account. So it's very easy to use, and it's very, according to me, useful. Despite that, there are a lot of problem because the European Commission is starting to create some rules about the legal aspect and also the ethical aspect, because behind AI that is predictive or generative, there are a lot of problems, especially when we are referring to ethical view. So, it will be a very important technology, but we should also work to create a very useful and friendly experience for the customer.
So this also ties back to the consumer well-being question.
Yeah, exactly.
Well.
They are very linked. Yeah.
Does AI make us feel better, or does it make us feel worse?
Yeah.
Okay, finally, I'd like to ask each of you, if possible, what you think the biggest challenge or opportunity, perhaps we phrase it like that, biggest challenge or opportunity for retailers is going to be in the near future. Shall we start with you, Martin?
Small question. I mean, what I see as from my perspective is to define the new role of the bricks and mortar. To go from, historically we have been a place for transaction, to go more on a relational path. And what does that mean? What kind of services do we have to develop? What kind of new knowledges do we have to develop? How will it look like? Square meters? There's so many questions that lies in this question. So that, I think, is what keeps the directors of the big retailers awake in the nights.
And I think that might be a very experimental journey, right? As we've seen with kind of IKEA, I think is a retailer that's really on that journey.
It's always incremental steps, always.
Yeah. Thank you. Ashley?
Great question, Karen. Okay, so this isn't a new trend, but obviously this idea of the cashless society is something that is increasingly becoming more prevalent. I would also add, there was a chapter within the book that talked about the biochip, so maybe that's something worth thinking about. It mentioned about a biochip being inserted into your skin, and I think that's quite terrifying. It has quite a lot of ethical implications, and it was a very exciting chapter to actually read and sort of think about this. But if I relate it back to thinking about how people actually shop, if I asked someone to raise their hand right now, how many people bought something from their mobile phone today or used it to travel, I think pretty much everyone in the room would raise their hand. So I actually think one of the answers there lies in how we integrate the omni-channels and how we better integrate like the use of the phone with the cashless society, but also with this in-store experience, because it's all part of like the overall picture. And I think also as well, it's increasingly thinking of ways, do we want to bring people back into physical spaces to have these experiences, which, you know, I think it is important, but it will depend on the customer segment that you're focused on, whether you're focused on, you know, baby boomers or Gen Z, or depending on who your target segment is, will very much depend on your focus for this. So that was what I would maybe add. Yeah.
Wonderful, thank you.
Yeah.
Francesca, biggest challenges and opportunities?
I totally agree with Martin and Ashley, and I would like to add also that we should, especially referring my field, so the technological one, we should avoid surveillance. So, I mean, all the technology could be useful. Obviously, we should select this correct sector, because not the sector could use the same technology, but we should, the retailers should avoid surveillance and preference more the personalization of the experience, or also to help them, so help the customer. So I think that the biggest challenge would be avoiding surveillance and create a very friendly customer experience where the well-being is the most important theme.
Yeah, I love that you've brought these two themes together again, the technology and the well-being.
You have done a very good contribution, according to me.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's great.
Kevin, would you like to talk about the biggest challenge or opportunity that you see?
Yeah, I'll give it a go. I think that with a big package with new legislation proposals like the European Commission's Green Deal will put a lot of pressure on retailers to adapt. And I think that within the retail landscape, some brands with a specific type of business model will have a pretty huge challenge in adapting to be compliant with those new rules.
You mean the EU directives on kind of greenwashing and...
green claims, exactly, and also gathering data, mapping their complete supply chains to feed in information to future digital product passports, for example. Just to have that data accessible in the first place can be quite challenging, especially if you're running a very huge machinery. So in that sort of sense, I think that new brands have, they are a bit in advance if they do right from the beginning. But it can also be an opportunity, of course, if you're like ahead in that mapping supply chains, having close connections, you can also access that data easier. And what I want to say is these digital product passports also have like additional features, service features to them, where you also can interact with consumers, or the idea of it at least. So
here we have the sustainability and the technology trends kind of playing together.
Exactly. And also for the consumer to see and have verified that they are compliant themselves with like the idea of what sustainable consumption is, with interacting with like a responsible brand or retailer, making it easy for them to live up to certain values.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think these digital product passports are going to be very, very interesting to see how they play out in the future.
Yeah, definitely.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you all panelists for your insightful comments. And thank you, audience, for listening. If you'd like to read The Future of Consumption for yourself, you can download a free copy, and you will get an email probably tomorrow with information on that. This is the end of the formal part of our program, but please do stick around until 6 o'clock for champagne, canapes, and exhibits on the future of consumption, which you will find dotted around. Please join me in giving a big round of applause to our panelists.